is Bella, and this is Darin, and we work at the Sanctuary Youth Center. Darin is our director, and we're just going to ask him a few questions today. Darin, why don't you tell us about why this work is so important, especially during this time?
Yeah, thank you, Bella. I just wanted for viewers to know I am director of Sanctuary Youth Center, and we run a drop-in center for vulnerable youth in our city Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and for youth ages 14 to 22. And I feel like the work that we're doing is important, Bella, because right now, because of the pandemic, I think youth are in crisis. And because of the pandemic, so youth are in crisis, and sadly, there's been increased amount of toxicity in drug supply. Some of you might have known this or heard this in the news, but this has affected the youth that we serve. And as a result, we're seeing increased overdoses, we're seeing increased fatalities. And I know you might hear this, and it might be something that's repeated often, but sadly, 6 people die every day of opioid overdose and because of toxicity in the drug supply. And that's something that's a statistic, but it's very real to us, especially as we've gotten to know youth over the years. We've become very close to them, and we know the struggle they're in as far as substance abuse and addiction. And we sadly say goodbye to youth as they leave the center each day. And frankly, we know that's a reality, that we may not see them again. That while somewhat unlikely, is still a very real possibility in the lives of some of the youth. And as I tell this to a lot of people, so I also want to remind our viewers that because of the pandemic, youth that we work with, especially youth that are in care or in the foster care system, have not been able to meet with their social worker for well over a year. And these meetings are important. They are meetings where they can discuss life goals, where they can discuss health, their current situation, their current needs, and some financial needs especially. And these meetings have been virtually non-existent for the last year and a bit. And that's been very hard on youth. And so I think as well as boredom and increased friction at home, it's created this perfect storm where youth are meeting together with their peers, very often downtown, where they can find easy access to substances, drugs. Some of them are like marijuana and things like that, but a lot of times it's more severe, more heavy drugs, and this created a perfect storm. So to give you kind of a picture, we've been seeing increased attendance. Last year at this time, we saw 107 youth visits per month on average from January to June. This year, 2021, from January to June, same time, we've seen that number almost double to just over 200 visits per month. So now we're seeing increased number of youth, and the needs among the youth increased. And so it just made a very challenging year. Now, by God's grace, we've had increased number of staff. The pandemic has been good to us in that sense. We've seen some staff, some of my current staff are returning missionaries from different fields. And I've been blessed to have been able to employ them, including Bella, and to assist us in working with these youth. But we have seen a dramatic increase in substance abuse, in overdoses. We've seen an increased amount of theft at the center, an increased amount of police calls. But we're here in the center of all of that. If you want to call it, I've said this before in this tape, a perfect storm. We're here in the middle of that, where we believe God has called us to be, to serve the oppressed, to serve the prisoners, to proclaim the good news of the gospel to those who are poor, to those who are struggling with these realities in their lives. And just to give you an example, We've started a sewing project. Bella's helped with that and initiated that. And behind me, you see some bags that the girls and some volunteers have created and are hoping to sell. And just wanted to say that while we are in the middle of this storm, there's some very positive things happening. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think during this time has been the most difficult?
I think the most difficult for me has been to, and I'm going to speak very personally, this is from my heart. What has been most difficult for me has been coming to the center each weekend and having the stamina and the readiness to confront. There's been so many instances when I've had to confront, and generally speaking, I have been the one to do that, being the male and so on. And that doesn't say it has to be that way, but Bella's been doing a good job as well. But that has been difficult for me because I know these youth. I want to build rapport and relationship with them, and I don't want to be the guy with a heavy hand all the time. And to be quite honest with you, I've just seen more instances where I've had to do that and to be that guy. And that has been somewhat difficult for me. Yeah.
And what are some desired outcomes that you would like to see?
Well, that's a good question. I'd like to see more work focused on mentoring youth. And there's two aspects to that. So we have had some younger women join us on our staff and have developed a girls group and some mentoring, and taking some young women who've been attending the center out on occasion to the park to have a picnic or to have a girls group. And I'm very excited about that, but that's something that needs to grow and develop. It's just in its infancy stages, and I think we need to develop that a little bit more with some more goals, with more intention, and with some longer term kind of outcomes than just getting together. You know, getting together is the start, right. But we need to see some tangible goals as far as relating to these youth and helping them in their recovery. A lot of these girls that do attend are in some kind of recovery program. You know, we were somewhat instrumental as an agency in informing these girls' guardians and parents of their substance abuse, and as a result, they have been admitted in different recovery programs in the city. Thankfully, we've been able to continue to relate to them and get to know them and walk with them in their journey of recovery. And I feel good about that. I feel like we've demonstrated unconditional love in the process. But we see needs to grow and develop that program. And secondly, I think we need to continue to focus on and develop intentionality around reaching youth who are aging out of care. So 19 youth age out of care, and I think that's a crucial time and a juncture in their lives where they need some mentoring, some assistance. And I feel like there's a lot more we could be doing with that, in assisting youth in becoming independent and living healthy and fulfilling lives. And I think that's another area that we need to grow in.
Mm-hmm. Certainly an area that right now there's a large gap in.
Yeah,
from them
right.
Aging out and moving into successful adulthood.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, thank you. And thank you for watching and for listening to our hearts and just learning more about Sanctuary.
Thank you.